Um, this is Phil Speranza from BehindTheBombers.com, and today we're talking to Marty Appel, the author of many books, such as the New York Times bestseller Munson, who just put out a new book called Pinstripe Empire, the New York Yankees, from before the babe to after the boss. And his book is just about that. If it's not in there, it hasn't happened yet. When I first picked up this book, I know it sounds cliche, but I couldn't put it down. I didn't read the newspaper for 3 weeks just so I could get back to this book. Marty also worked for years as the public relations director for the New York Yankees and with New York Yankees television station WPIX in New York City. So if Marty doesn't know the Yankees, who does? Hello, Marty.
Well, I thank you for all the kind words, all the good things you've said.
Hey,
I really appreciate that a lot. A guy like you would be one who could tell the real thing from, just a quick knock-it-off job. And obviously this was a long project.
Well, it almost seems like the middle of the book should have been entitled My Life. That's...
Once I got to the part where I started remembering it all, and I thought, oh my God, I'm only halfway through. It was like, I said, well, at least this half will be easier than the first half.
Did you write that in chronological order, or did you bounce around?
Yeah, if I hadn't done that, I would have gotten lost. I needed some compass to, keep me pointed. So sometimes you fall out of chronological order, like if a guy retires and then you talk about the rest of his life and when he died, or, future connections to the team. But basically I tried to keep focused on the chronology as just a way to even keep the reader focused.
Well, that's exactly, that kept my attention. The only thing is maybe you might have to put out an edition with plastic-covered pages, because I read most of the book with my mouth open in amazement. That's
Well, yeah, I'm glad I did it now because somebody asked me a question about something, and I have a pretty good idea where to find it because of the chronology of the book. Otherwise, it would have been, oh my God, what section did I put that in?
Yeah, did you? You must have started this, way back, even before you did some of your other books, right? Or did you just?
No, it's all very fresh, really.
Oh, really?
It was about 2.5 years ago I began the research. It's funny that you'd think like this was a project I had always wanted to do. Never thought of it until kicking around ideas with my agent. And we kept circling and finally came to this. And I said, I don't think anybody's done this in 70 years. And then it just seemed so logical. But then, of course, the challenge was, could this be done in a single volume, like a readable book? So the original deal was for 135,000 words, and when I finished it, it was 235,000 words. And I told the publisher, I don't know what to do. This is the way it came out. He said, well, send it in. So I sent it in and held my breath, and they came back to me and said, well, frankly, we don't know what to cut because you got to get the important things in, and all the backstage stuff is what makes this interesting. So we'll go with it. And that was a relief.
Well, after reading it, it's like saying the White Album should have been one album, but what do you take out of it? That's
yeah. Revolution number 9.
Well, maybe. Before it gives you too many nightmares. I couldn't see how they could edit anything out of there. It's just like one thing led to another, and it's basically a Yankee fan's life.
Yeah, I think the fact that, I talk about the billboards in the outfield and the goings-on in the broadcast booth and, Harry M. Stevens being the concessionaire and all that stuff the fans really are interested in. And if I could identify when Gem Razor Blades had their signage up and how W.B. Mason got all that attention when those home runs were flying out of there in the first season, that's stuff that people would say, yeah, I remember all those replays on the W.B. Mason sign.
Oh, definitely. And
yeah.
and it became a part of the game. When you look at some of the classics now, and you don't see any signs out there, it's like that's the abnormal now as opposed to the norm.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll go to the stadium with somebody and they'll just comment on, look at all the advertising. There isn't a vacant space out there. And I say, you know what? When you look at photography of ballparks, it's the signage that actually kind of makes it interesting. So it's just part of the show.
Remember, it was one of the major league movies where they, when Thorne bought the team and he wound up putting signs all over the stadium, and it seemed funny at the time, but now it's everywhere you go.
Yeah, I was one of those people who was like outraged when they put the signs behind home plate. Mm-hmm. And now you don't even think about it. But at the time, it was outrageous.
I believe that the first place I remember that was in Detroit. I believe it's.
I think that's right, and maybe Milwaukee also.
I remember talking to Keith Wyatter over at the stadium, and he promised me, "Nope, we'll never have them."
You're going to pay us how much?
Yep. It's I can't explain how much I really enjoyed this, but
well, I guess it's written for guys like you that enjoy all those little morsels, and I'm delighted that it connected with you.
I'm reading on the internet. I mean, there's a lot of people out there like me. Just everybody that what's good to they say your name and they want to buy your book before it's even with sight unseen. That's the kind of reputation you have.
Well, that's certainly nice to know. I'm flattered by that.
The one thing that I found very interesting was I never really. I'm 55, and I never really knew the details behind it. Was when they let Mel Allen go.
Right.
And
yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you brought out that there was no definite reason given, but I didn't know it was that abruptly either.
And you know what? I had forgotten that they told him before the end of the season, and he finished out the season knowing that he was through. That part was either I'd forgotten or was a new discovery to me. You know who called me and talked to me at great length about that was John Sterling. He was reading an early galley proof of it, and he was like, I never knew all this stuff about Mel Allen. This is fascinating.
Yeah, he was talking about it on the air one day. I heard he was talking
Somebody
about
told
the book.
me that,
Yeah.
I'm one of these guys in Manhattan that don't have a car, so I don't listen to the radio as much as I used to, because that's when you mostly listen to the radio.
Mm-hmm.
When you and I were growing up, not every game was on TV, so you'd have radio on at home. But now it's seldom that you have it on at home. Are you with me on that? Are you with me?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there was a time when they had the Tuesdays, the Saturday, and the Sunday games on TV.
Yeah.
And I used to say, well, I wish they would put all the weekday games on TV because on the weekends I could go to the stadium. Because I was a kid at the time too and taking the train up and down there. My parents weren't crazy about me going at night, and so I mean the weekends were the best time for me to go.
Yeah, I mean for radio fans, even sometimes if you loved Rizzuto or something, you could turn down the sound on the TV and play the radio, but now it's out of sync because of the cable delivery. So it's just radio is really taking a back seat unless you spend a lot of time in the car.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's a lost, not really a lost art, but it's a unappreciated art.
Yeah, I guess Mushnick still listens a lot.
Yeah, it's fun something. Mom, Pa, yeah. And the other thing I really enjoyed, but it brought back was the memories of the lean years after like 1964 to 1960 to the early 70s, where that's where I really started understanding the game.
Right.
Not just.
What year were you born? Was it 58?
56.
56. Okay. Well, you probably remember 63, 64?
Yes.
Yeah. See, guys born a little after you, like 57, 58, 59, 60. We all think that Yankee fans win all the time and are accustomed to World Series, but those people born in the late 50s, they were almost 20 years old before the Yankees finally won a World Series. So it really wasn't a birthright that they were aware of, you know? So it wasn't like a birthright to them. They really had to put through a lot of patience till the Yankees won in '77.
And I look at some of my nephews and nieces now, and they never seen the Yankees lose, basically.
Exactly, right. Yeah, now a year without a playoff, is like, what are we going to do this month? But as I pointed out, the one year they didn't make it, in 2008, it was a little bit of a blessing because we knew when the last game would be at Yankee Stadium, and it made it all.
I said the same exact thing. I got my tickets for that game, and then part of me would have loved to see him be in the World Series, but it would have been no way I could really guarantee that I could get to the last game at the stadium.
Exactly, and since the American League was always the team that played Game 6 and 7, it almost meant that the last game, if they'd been in the playoffs, unless they won the World Series, the last game would have been a disappointment, a loss, unless they'd won at all. So,
it even bothered me when they were having rumors of having a hockey game there after the season that year.
Yeah.
I mean, I like hockey, but I said I don't want to see the last game in Yankee Stadium be a hockey game.
Yeah, last game in Ebbets Field was soccer.
Was it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they played soccer in Ebbets Field before they tore it down.
Then the other part of the book I really got into was the final game in the stadium.
Yeah.
I still, I remember them handing out that the record, which started out with Mel Allen narrating it and Frank Messer,
right.
And I still have mine today. That's and matter of fact, that same record they put out, I think it was in the 1974 yearbook as a flexi disc.
That's right. I was very much involved with that. I wrote the liner notes. I approved the script. I worked with Mel Allen on it, Fleetwood Records, and I was the PR guy at the time, so I was very involved with that.
And basically, I remember listening to that game on the radio, the last game, like it was yesterday. It was a sad day. At that time, I was against them renovating the stadium, period, but it turned out to the better.
I think so. I mean, people came when the second stadium closed, they were all nostalgic for that it wasn't as good as the original stadium. But if you were sitting behind one of those pillars all those years, it was much improved.
I used to like the section of the stadium where they had the telephones where you had to play his voices.
No, you're in the Telephonic Hall of Fame. Yep.
Is that what they called it? That I didn't remember that part.
That's what they called it, down in the lower right field. The Telephonic Hall of Fame. And when Mickey hit his 500th home run, we added that to the Telephonic Hall of Fame. It was a big deal, like, and today, a new addition to the Telephonic Hall of Fame.
That's one thing in the new stadium. I wish they would have given a little bit more room to the museum. But I guess
the fact that they did anything with it was, wonderful. Because every inch of that thing, they leased out to retail and made as much money as they could on. So the fact that they put that aside for a museum was great. They could have turned it into another store,
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, but I guess you got to be happy for that. And I'm glad the way they kept the look. Well, my first reaction when I went to the opening day of the new stadium was, I got into the lobby and I felt like I was at an out-of-town game. By the time I reached the field, I felt like I was home.
I feel the best thing about the new stadium is that you feel like you're still in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, but I didn't get that feeling until I got to the field. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if that had failed that test, it would have been disappointing. But now I sit there and watch a game, and sometimes I don't even realize it's in the new ballpark. It's because the contour of the outfield and everything is so similar. So I think that was the big test that they passed.
Well, yeah. Well, this time, I'll point over to a certain section. Yeah, we were sitting over there then. Well, not really over there. It was across the street, but it's.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah.
Very familiar. I just wish the monuments could be seen from the lower decks at the new ballpark. It's like they're not there anymore, in a way.
Well, when you sit in the grandstand, I see them pretty often.
Yeah, from up above you see them.
Yeah. Uh, but overall, I'm pretty much happy with it.
Great.
Yeah. I have a couple of questions that from some of one writer, one of the members of BehindTheBombers.com, that
Okay.
he posted on the message board today.
Good.
Basically, he's a writer himself. He writes for that Bombers broadside. I believe it was called Yankees Yearly this year. That Cecilia Tan puts out. His name is Dan McCourt.
Yes, I think he's a Facebook friend.
Right. And the one thing is, the first question he asks, I'm interested in his quite public face in the social media, Facebook at least. Don't know if he tweets. Does he have trouble combining that with writing his books? Does he ever want to reveal something just too good that he's about to put in a book on an instant post on Facebook rather than having to save it for the book?
I learned long ago that don't hold back the good stuff. People aren't going to not buy a book if they hear a good story. I think it just makes them think there's more where that came from and go buy the book. It's like when you go to the movies and you see the trailers and the coming attractions.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the best scenes. They want to give you the best stuff there.
A lot of times it is, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times you see the whole movie and you go, that's it? I thought that this was going to be great. But I've always felt that you don't hold back the good stuff. I put something up there today about Duke Sims. Did you see that?
No, I haven't seen that, no.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the funnier lines in the book. But Duke Sims is on Facebook, and he sent a message, and I wrote back, oh, you're in the book, Duke. And an old player named Richie Scheinblum said, why is he in the book? So I said, okay, here it is. Because in 1948 at Babe Ruth Day, Babe said, I hit the first home run here, God knows who'll hit the last. And then I wrote, if God is truly all-knowing, he would have known it would be Duke Sims. That's why Sims was in the book, and I enjoyed writing that.
Yep, I remember that. Like I said, that's one of the things etched into my mind. That and that Chicken Stanley hit the last Grand Slam.
That's right. All improbable things, just like Jim Mason hitting the only home run in the '76 World Series.
Yeah, first home run in 12 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Next, Dan asks, how does he keep up with calendar events? Does he have his own personal calendar of birthdays, deaths, great moments, or does he rely on print or online media? I think he's looking for your secrets. That's all.
I'm not sure I even understand the question.
He's basically he's asking if these all your great moments, do you log them, or do you rely on other sources to tell you the?
Oh, you mean the things that are in the book, all the historical moments?
Right.
Yeah. Well, one of the first things I did was from a variety of sources, just in a notebook, write down all the things you better have in here, Marty, where it's not a complete book. So it started with, record set and pennants won and, big games and things that just I'd better cover. And so that was sort of the foundation, and then I worked from there. So that came from a variety of sources, some as obvious as the Yankee Media Guide, and others from old obscure books like This Day in Yankee History, or things like that.
Okay. And next he asks, what is his involvement with baseball's Hall of Shame? Does he work on it or just admire it?
Helping with the public relations for it because, I own a PR company, so a number of publishers come to me for PR assistance on their books. So at the moment, I'm doing that one and the Juju Rules and Driving Mr. Yogi and Bill Veck in addition to my own.
Well, that's cool. Last question he asks is, this is a pretty recent one. It says, in the third inning of last Saturday's game against the Tigers, the scoreboard at that moment was saying the Yankees welcome the Appel family Was that you or your family, or is it just coincidence?
Coincidence. Didn't know about that. Nobody mentioned that. But I would say that there's a chance that the number 1 draft pick this June will be the Stanford pitcher Marty Appel, who's not related, but I expect if he's drafted number 1, I'm going to get a lot of questions as to whether he is.
And he just says, thanks, I love his Thurman book.
Well, that's great. Thank you. And speaking of related, congratulate him on all the money he made on the sale of the Dodgers.
Oh, okay. There you go. I love that. And so what's next as far as your writing goes? It's going to be a tough book to top.
I don't know. I don't have an idea at the moment. I just need to sort of move past the media month that this month is going to be, and then I'll focus on something else. I'm without an idea at the moment, looking for a big one. But you're right, it will be hard to top this.
Okay, well, I think I covered about everything, and I enjoy talking to you, and I enjoyed the book immensely.
Yeah, enjoy talking to you, Phil. You know your stuff, and always good to talk to another Yankee fan.
So remember, the name of the book is Pinstripe Empire, the New York Yankees from Before the Babe to After the Boss. And it's available come May 8th at any bookstore or online at Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com or at a bookstore near you. It's truly a good book. You'll all enjoy it. If you're a Yankee fan or a baseball fan, it's top-notch. Thank you all for listening to BehindTheBombers.com, and I hope you enjoyed the interview with Marty Appel.